And there's plenty of parents out there of all ethnicities, I might add, who spank their children. Might be a slap on the leg, a slap on the behind, or whatever the case may be. And that's about as far as it goes. But it sends the appropriate message to a child that you don't get to act the way that you want to with impunity. That you don't get to do what you want to do, regardless of what an adult tells you to say and instructs you to do. And I think what we have to be careful about here is, as I listen, or read rather, some of the things that Adrian Peterson has said, he's going out of his way to acknowledge that he was wrong, which I absolutely positively applaud. But I think he goes an excessive step further, unnecessarily so, I might add, by giving the impression, at least, that, excuse me, there are plenty of ways to discipline your child without ever touching your child. I agree with that. There are plenty of ways. But that doesn't mean that a parent doesn't have the right, if that parent deems so, to put their hand on their child in a disciplinary manner without it being called abuse. His actions were abusive based on the pictures that we saw. And there is no denying that. But there are plenty of parents out there, I repeat, of all ethnicities who put their hands on a child, and it's not abuse. And I think that we need to be careful and mindful of the fact that just because Adrian Peterson is sitting here with this mea culpa about how to discipline a child, it isn't all of a sudden a referendum on parents and how they choose to discipline a child, so long as they're not abusive. There are some children where a timeout or a nap or something like that won't suffice, and they need to get spanked. And if a parent chooses to discipline their child in that fashion, so long as they are not abusive, I have no problem with it. A matter of fact, it is something I applaud, and I don't think that we should sit there and look at the Adrian Peterson scenario as a means or an excuse to all of a sudden judge every parent who decides to discipline their child in a physical manner. We need to pump the brakes and make sure we watch and monitor that line, because I think we're getting to a point where people are willing to cross it in terms of how they tell people to discipline their child. You don't abuse a child. There's nothing wrong with spanking a child. I am Uncle Steve, I am Daddy, and I can assure you I have spanked my child, I have spanked my nieces, and I do it again.
Okay.
Period.
Okay, I get that. I appreciate that, and those are all fair and valid points. But I'm not sure you're addressing the point, which is, again, and I don't want to use this today